This is the Global Broadcasting Service, serving remote outposts since 1928.
Hi, everyone. Welcome aboard the Walt Disney World Express monorail.
Caramba, we have something really big for you today.
Welcome, foolish mortals.
Now then, hang on to them hats and glasses, because this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
This is the DBC Pod with Phil Schoen and Jason Dodge. Hi, friends. Welcome to this week's pod. This is show for the week of December 29th, 2025. Happy New Year, everyone. We got a great end of the year show. We put out a request for questions for Ask Us Anything, and we've got plenty. I know we've got like 30 or so, Phil.
Something
I think
like that, yeah.
Something like that.
At least. Yep.
And I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, man, I don't think we have enough. But, famous last words. We'll be here 3 hours later talking about these questions. Phil put them all in his spreadsheet as part of the course for this show. He's randomized them. So if you've asked multiple questions, they all kind of tossed in the pot, so to speak. Before we get to some of the news that's out there, we want to welcome some new members to the community. Jonathan just joined Discord. So welcome. Hope you participate and jump in for next week's DBC engagement. And we want to welcome a new YouTube subscriber, Callie Bukes, for joining. Thank you very, very much for watching and listening. Hope you left a comment, etc., etc. But before we get to what might be a 2-hour episode, but it's probably going to be a 1-hour episode, famous last words, we have some news, Phil. So let's get to it.
Yeah. First, we wanted to recognize the passing of Adam the Woo. He was one of, I guess kind of the grandfathers or one of the starters of the whole touring theme parks and travel vlogs and stuff like that. Or at least one of the first ones I was aware of, especially when it came to kind of the Disney parks and the Orlando theme parks. A lot of people in the community have come out kind of remembering him and kind of, acknowledging what a great guy he was, at least to them and that sort of thing. And they wanted to get that out there. And it's kind of like a sad moment. He was only 51, obviously way too young to go. And it's just, it's kind of sad when anybody that in the community at that age passes away. So just wanted to share wish our best to his friends and family at this time. And like I said, 51's way too young to go.
Yep, 100%.
In other news, Disney did share, I believe this was right on Christmas, they put out a quick look at Buddy the Robot, who is the new character or figure that's going to be at the beginning of Buzz Lightyear's Space Ranger spin. It's going to be where he's holding up targets and that sort of thing, and it's where you sort of practice, and so you know what your laser beam looks like and what the targets look like when they get hit and that sort of thing. So my initial reaction was I thought the targets looked great. They look so much better than the old targets, how they kind of interact and the screens change and stuff. It didn't look like Buddy himself moved at all. There wasn't any motion to that. He seemed very static. I was hoping there'd be a little bit of movement. He'd be more of like an animatronic, but this seems to be more of a statue, but I guess we'll see.
I mean, this is for kids. I don't think they need moving targets for practice at this point. That'd be kind of, no, I liked how the targets kind of like they glowed when you shot them and there's some spiraling action. So maybe that's kind of a hint to, different versions of the game. So maybe like your one playthrough, like your targets are where they are. Your second play, the next person comes through is like all the targets are like mixed up, so you're not always firing at the same one. So like the strategy of like always firing at the same target for the maximum score like changes because now those targets are in different spots.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
So we'll see. And then the last bit of news was Disneyland has filed a permit related to the building of a new 8-level Eastern parking structure. The permit details that it will be 3.2 million square feet with 8 levels.
That's a lot.
And at least 302 EV charger spots. I did a little bit of research. Just like, well, I don't know. Is that a big parking garage? I don't know. The Lime Garage at Disney Springs, which is the one we use the most often and seems fairly large. I think it's 4 stories. It's only 940,000 square feet and it has 2,100 spaces. So this Disneyland one would be like almost 3.5 times the size of the Lime Garage, which if it has the same ratio would be about 7,100 spaces. So I also did the checking to see how tall like a parking garage is. It would be roughly as tall as a Sleeping Beauty castle.
Wow, that's pretty big.
Yeah.
I mean, they're tearing down parking garages to put up new parts of the park, so they got to start stacking them higher now, I guess, right?
I guess that's what it is. And this will be like kind of over a block, kind of. So it's not like it's going to impact the skyline of Disneyland or anything like that, but it's going to be a massive structure once it's up. And that was it for news. So
yeah, a couple construction updates. mean, from what I've read, there's really nothing major going on, but there were some permits for the Haunted Mansion. A lot of people were speculating because anytime there's permits, people speculate. But there's one supposed insider. I don't know the validity of this person. It's like it's nothing to think about type of thing. It's like a scene person, so they might be doing some maintenance or cleanup work, but I don't think anything is imminent of what we might think it could be. So
yeah, it's always interesting to see one for the Haunted Mansion because we assume at some point there's going to be some modification to the queue related to all the work, but I'm assuming that's not going to be for a while yet. But just whenever you hear permits for the Haunted Mansion, kind of the antenna goes up a little bit.
Yep, and I think there's a permit for the tents in Storybook Circus, and I think that's mostly just maintenance work, nothing to kind of change. I don't have these in the sheet because I've been in holiday mode, Phil, but those are the two things that kind of popped at me as I'm keeping my eye out on Disney news. Reminder of our social media accounts at the DBC Pod. Make sure you join Discord and join the conversation. We got new people joining all the time, so we always appreciate new guests. Come in and either, read all the different advice and scroll up or keep a tab on news. We have a nice, collection of news feeds in our section, so it's a great way to keep up to date on a bunch of different stuff. All right, now, Phil, up to the main event. You've done a wonderful job putting this together, so I'm going to let you steer. Now, if you want me to steer because you were the person that that's fine, but I'll let you make that choice.
I'll start with it, and if we want to switch it up, we can. But yeah, like Jason said, I took the questions, and some people submitted 4 or 5. I broke them up, so it's not just reading all the questions from one person. We're going to kind of randomize them, and also I did group together if people had similar, very close to almost the same question. I did put them together rather than having them in there twice. But I'll try to be good about saying who asked each question. But they are random, so we'll see what kind of the order they come in.
That's it.
Starts out with kind of like a simple one. Ryan W. asks, what is our favorite memory? I'm assuming he meant favorite Disney-related memory, not like memory of all time, but I guess we could take it how we want it. So, Jason, what is your favorite memory?
Oh, this is tough. I don't have many memories of Disney World as a kid. I mean, I must have been 8, 10, 11 years old. We've went twice, but never as a Disney World vacation, but kind of just going to the Magic Kingdom when we were visiting my grandparents type of thing. I mean, I've got plenty I've told throughout this podcast of just my recent family last decade or so of going. If we're going to go Disney, the oldest memory I have is I remember listening to the Lion King soundtrack, at night. I got a Walkman and hiding underneath my blankets when my parents tell me it's time for bed and I have to be quiet, but listening to the Lion King soundtrack. I remember that. That's why it's one of my favorite early Disney movies. But memory wise, to me, it's got to be walking into the Magic Kingdom for the first time as a father, not having gone to Disney World for quite some time. And as we just kind of tore the park going, I remember this. It was just unearthing all these memories and nostalgia that I didn't even know was laying dormant inside of me. And then as I'm remembering my memories of the kids, I'm simultaneously watching my kids start building memories of their first visit. And that was that's where the magic sold me. Because on our first adult trip, we did Animal Kingdom first the first day, and then we did Magic Kingdom our second park day. And Animal was getting the Animal Kingdom vibes. This is really cool, whatever. But then Magic Kingdom, that's where basically the magic just stood up and punched me in the face and said, "Hey, remember all this stuff." So Disney knows what they're doing. I think that might be my favorite memory for 2 reasons. Obviously, one, it's my children's first experience at the Magic Kingdom, so it's all of that. It's the remembrance of all the magic from that I had as a child, and 3, that's the origin memory of my adult Disney fandom, right? So it has 3 different I don't know, core values or whatever you want to call them for me. So I always kind of get nostalgic after that one.
Okay.
What about you?
For me, 2 jumped out at me while I was trying to think of them. I hadn't thought about this before, but when you mentioned about Disney as a kid, one that I do always remember from when I was younger, I think it was 11 or 12. And it was the one time we went during the holidays. We actually went the week between Christmas and New Year's. And I remember because the parks were open super late. And I remember we were in Magic Kingdom, and it was still I think Magic Kingdom was open till midnight. And it was still the rule, if you got in line before the park closed, you could ride the ride. And obviously lines are really long over the holidays. We got in line for Space Mountain, rode it. And by the time we were done, I think it was after 1 a.m., something like that. So it was really late. And I'm 10, 11. I think this is really cool that we're here late. And the parks are starting to get, empty. It's kind of cool to be there, blah, blah. And then we get to Main Street, and it was like the middle of daytime with how crowded it was.
No kidding.
Everybody was still getting all their shopping done and buying treats and stuff like that. I just remember going like, how are all these people still awake and like being active and stuff like that? It felt like almost as crowded as daytime once we got back to Main Street.
Especially at that age, being up at like 1 o'clock in the morning was like special because like you're being allowed to do this, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So I remember that. The one I remember as a parent with my kids was the trip. The first time we went after my youngest was born, shortly after she was born. So the kids were like 5, 2, and less than 1 or something like that. And I'd gotten a good deal to stay at the Contemporary. And it was like, my wife was like, if we're going with the one, under 1, we're making it as easy as possible. So we can like get on a monorail, we could walk to the park, that sort of thing. So we got a good deal for there. I remember checking in, and a family that was checking out, they had their balloon, like Mickey balloon or something like that. And they gifted it to my daughter because they're like, well, we're leaving. We can't use the balloon anymore. Why don't you guys have it? And you can still enjoy it and that sort of thing. And the one thing that stood out to me was like, hey, that was kind of cool they did that. But then my daughter was like super excited about it. And she just kept talking about how if the balloon was still good when we left, she wanted to gift it.
Oh, right.
So she just kept talking about that. And it was still good. And when we were leaving, another family was coming in and she gifted it to the next family and stuff like that. So obviously it's a fun like kind of story or stuff, but it really stood out to me how much my daughter was like excited to like give it away more than excited to get it.
Sure.
So I thought that was a fun thing. So that's one that will always stick with me. So
those are good, definitely good favorite memories. I mean, like it's Disney. It's hard to pick your favorite because there's like so many like memories that I have. The one memory I have, it's like, the first Disney trip, my mom was there with my sister and her family. So there was 9 of us at the time. Then we went in 2019 as the first really big like family trip. And my mother came with us then. And then 2019 was like basically the first time I was a pro at going to the parks, right? I was spreadsheeted up the butt. Like I had practiced my previous trip. This was like the first big one where like, I know everything. And then between 2019 and 2025, when my mother came with us again, I mean, COVID, the podcast, talking about Disney every single week, like I don't know if it's a memory, but it's like remembering the journey, I guess, if you want to call it that, like that, because that's a different type of memory. It's like, how was it when you were pre-spreadsheets, and how are you now when you don't necessarily need a spreadsheet other than just kind of organizing your thoughts type of thing, right? So I mean, like there's a lot. I can't pick like a favorite memory. Like there's some ones that just obviously stand out, the ones I thought of. But like you're talking about this, I'm like, can I think of anything else that's like the pixie dust or anything else like that? And there's so many that I think we could just have like a whole show of just like, what are your favorite Disney memories? And then just basically did a trip report for like the last 10 years of trips at that point.
Okay, moving on. Mama 6 asks, what is our favorite Disney park worldwide?
So this is tough only because I've only been to Disney World. I know you've been overseas. You will be going over to Europe in was it almost a month and a half now?
Yep, about
just under.
Weeks, yeah.
And I've never been to Disneyland, though that's on my list for the next year and a half, I think. But so I'm assuming we're not talking about resort, but so I have 4 to pick from at this point. My favorite Disney park like just changes. Because again, I have 4 and it's just like, reiterating. So like, I think we had a show like within the last 6 months where we kind of ranked the parks and stuff like that. If I had to think right now, what park I'd love spending time in the most, it's probably Animal Kingdom, just because of how gorgeous the park is just by default. But then you could say like, Hollywood Studios could be my favorite because it has like some of my favorite rides. And but I mean, if I had to answer, I would say Animal Kingdom. I know that's kind of boring only because you have a lot more experience globally than I do. So I'm curious what your answer is.
Yeah. So obviously I haven't been to all the parks, but I have been to I think 7 total of the parks. I'm not counting the water parks and stuff. My favorite is still Epcot. I think it's always going to be my favorite just by default. I mean, it's not a surprise. I think just a lot of
What's your second favorite then? Because obviously we all know Epcot is your favorite, right?
My second favorite and my default I go to, and it's my favorite castle park that I've been to, is actually Hong Kong Disneyland. It was newer. It was like, it just seemed like it was put together well. It kind of had like the best of a lot of the parks, but it also had unique attractions that were only there. It had Mystic Manor and Grizzly Gulch. It had low crowds, which was nice. So it's kind of like, you know how like, it had like everything Magic Kingdom had, but like was so much easier to navigate than the Magic
Okay.
Kingdom is and stuff like that. So that one always jumps out at me. Plus, I had Paint the Night, the parade and stuff like that. So that's my favorite castle park that I've been to. Yeah, in a couple weeks we'll be going to Paris, so that might usurp that. And then obviously I definitely want to get to Tokyo at some point, but we'll see.
Yeah, that's on my list.
The next one is not a Disney question, which is good. TL Madden asks what Christmas traditions we have.
So I've got a fun one. This is not a old tradition. This is a rather new one for the new house that we live in. I mean, we moved down to Maryland 5 years ago from Jersey, and so we basically don't do any of our old Christmas traditions where we used to go to my aunt's house and kind of that side of the family all got together. That's now 3.5 hours away, and
Sure.
we're not doing that anymore. So my parents come down to our house and we do our normal Christmas celebrations. But our Christmas Eve tradition that we have is now that we eat Chinese food every Christmas Eve.
Oh, yeah?
That's our tradition, because I do the Thanksgiving dinner. I cook the whole thing, and by Christmas, like I don't want to cook another big meal. And we're here to just drink good wine, eat good food, and just kind of because it's small. It's just my family and just my parents, and sometimes my mother-in-law comes over, and occasionally my brother-in-law does too. So that's our, we basically mirrored it after A Christmas Story, where they go and have Chinese food for Christmas dinner because the burnt turkey type of thing, or the turkey got eaten up.
Dogs, yeah.
Yeah. So Chinese food on Christmas Eve is our Christmas tradition right now.
That's a good one. We don't have a ton of same thing. It's kind of like been evolving over the time. We don't have something that we've been doing for years and years and years. We do always go to mass on Christmas Eve. What we've been doing is we've been going to my in-laws for actual Christmas, usually getting there a little bit earlier. And we always have creme brulee French toast in the morning. So we always make that. You make that the day before, and then you pop it in the oven that morning, and everyone has that then. And then the last few years, we've been going to my wife's brother's house, and his wife cooks up a big thing, and the whole bunch of kids are over, and their kids are almost the same age as my kids, and other people are there, and they're kind of running around. They have like 12 acres with goats and sheep and all sorts of stuff that the kids are just running around and having fun. So we've been doing that as kind of like a Christmas brunch lunch type thing. So it's only been doing it for past couple of years and stuff like that, but so far that's kind of been something we've been doing.
We watched Christmas Vacation, right? It's a family favorite. So one of the things that we have been doing ever since we've owned a house is cut down our own Christmas tree. So we've had a couple different farms that we've gone to over the years, and every year, like clockwork, we go there. I always want the tallest Christmas tree, right? I've got a 19-foot ceiling in my living room. We need to get like a 12 or 13-foot tree, right? That's our thing. So my wife and I always have an argument every single year onto what tree that we should get at the Christmas tree farm. So there's always like, she wants this one because, we found it already. I'm like, no, we got to look at all of them to make sure we got the best one.
Yeah.
And that's trudging all over the place and it's cold. I'm like, no, we got to find it. The next best one's right over the next hill. And of course, I always self-sabotage because I end up picking one that's just over the hill, but then I've got to lug it all the way up the hill onto the other side to the front too. But that's a Christmas tradition. We as a family go out and cut down Christmas trees as well.
We used to do that, and then I don't know, we got tired of it. I was having like asthma attacks because of the cold weather, trying to cut these trees down and stuff. And then I don't know around you, but around here they've just gotten super expensive and stuff. And I think it was 1 year after COVID, I was just kind of fed up, and I was like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to do anything for Christmas. And then my wife was like, well, we got to do can we do something over there? And I was like, well, let's just get a fake tree or whatever. And she's like, I'm not getting a fake tree. We always have a real tree. So we compromised and we got the fakest tree ever. It's like silver. It's like one of those.
I've seen 50s pictures. Yeah.
So they were like, that was kind of the compromise we made. It was like, all right, if we're not going to do a real one, we're going to get one that's really fake. And it's like, so that gets put up, and we put a lot of lights and ornaments and stuff on it and stuff like that. So that's kind of how we've evolved. Partly also because we're not always home on Christmas, so we don't bother going nuts with everything.
See,
that's what we switched to.
I'm a big Christmas decorator. As soon as like the weekend before Thanksgiving, I've started earlier and earlier just decorating the house. We always get the tree the day after Thanksgiving, but the older I get, the more I just want to slowly put up the decorations rather than my whole Friday, this my weekend, right? So I need a big Christmas tree. But then we went to one of these home decoration stores, me and my youngest, looking for just some Christmas presents. We strolled into this thing, and I saw like a 12-foot fake Christmas tree. I'm like, this would have been perfect in our house. But it was like $350. Like it was 50% off, and it was $350, right?
The ones that look nice are real expensive. Yeah.
And the thing is, we got a perfect Christmas tree because we love it tall, but we don't have a large like square footage of a living room. So anything that's like that tall is usually like 8 foot wide.
Bottom, yeah.
It takes up a quarter of the room. So we got one that was actually very narrow this year. But if I could find like a 12 to 14 foot fake tree that had like a narrow base, I might have to pull the trigger on that rather than spending the $150 on a real tree and doing all that stuff. So I don't know. I might have to go onto your side of things eventually. We'll see.
All right. The next question is from Ryan W. If you could change one thing about Walt Disney World, what would it be?
I mean, that's basically this podcast.
I know. I saw this one and I was trying to think of things we haven't already mentioned.
I mean, like Ryan, go back to episode 1 and just start listening, and you'll get everything that we want to change. God, what if I had to change one thing? It's basically has to be the ticket prices, right? I will go more often if the tickets were not $160 a day for a family of 5. That's the one thing actually, because I'm perfectly happy with everything at Disney World from like a macro level, right? You can pick like, I wish there was more rides or another country in Epcot, or I wish there was more Skyliner and all this other stuff. A lot of interesting things, but that's our normal, podcasting thing, the what ifs, right? But like to me, the biggest thing that would stop me from like, hey, my wife's like, hey, why don't we take like a 3 or 4 day trip down to Disney World on a long weekend and just go down? I'm like, we can, but we're not doing it cheap, because in order to go for like 2 ticket days for all of us, that's like $2,000 at this point. And it's just like, that's if we're going to spend $2,000, why don't we just go spend $4,000, stay a couple extra days longer, and really enjoy it, rather than like I would do more down and backs essentially. Yeah. That's my case. So ticket prices.
That was one thing that came to mind, and I know recently we even mentioned like more rooms that fit 5 people or 6, like more family rooms at values and moderates and stuff like that. Yeah, I was trying to think of something. I did see recently someone posted kind of like what's your like hot take of like what you'd like to see, and this was more like people are like, get rid of scooters, get rid of strollers, like things like that. But it's like none of that's like realistic.
I mean, getting rid of scooters, like my mother and my father won't be able to enjoy Disney World.
And that's
what
all the
point,
responses are like, well, it's nice for you to be able to say that, but wait until you're in a position where you need one.
Yeah, exactly.
So I did try to think like maybe they could have like kind of like bus lanes or something like that for scooter lanes, or somehow to keep them separate, or I don't know. But part of that's just crowds, right? If there were lower crowds, it'd be a lot easier to handle all that stuff too. One thing I did think about was if there were more ways to traverse the park. So like kind of how Magic Kingdom has the train. If there was like more like a people mover type thing at every park to help you like get around or something like that might be nice. But I think the big thing is, cheaper tickets, or like we've talked about before, kind of those like you have 10 days to use during the year or something like that, where it's like a little bit more affordable to do a mini
annual pass, essentially, right?
Annual pass. Yeah, we've talked about that before. So
I'm with you. Basically, it's how do we make that's the meme, right? It's how is Disney World more affordable? How do we make it more affordable? And right now, the gatekeeper is the tickets at this point. I can make do with, all right, we can't stay at a nice hotel because we were a family of 5, but I'll suffer and see if I can get 2 adjoining rooms at like All Star something. I mean, staying at All Star is better than not going, right?
Exactly.
And those resorts aren't bad either.
They're plenty.
And I enjoyed our stays at the All Stars. It's just like, it's the tickets.
Yep. TL Madden also asked, what's one thing at Walt Disney World you probably will never do?
As in like an attraction or like an activity?
Just anything that a guest could do at Disney, but you would probably never do.
I mean, things are just popping in my head now. So it's like, I probably will never, well, actually, I won't say never. I was going to say the spa, but like my wife's a spa enjoyer, but there's only one, right? It's at Saratoga?
Floridian. No, Grand Floridian.
It's Grand Floridian, right?
Saratoga used to have one. It's actually still in the name of the resort, but it doesn't have one right now.
But there's a good chance that I might do that within the next 20 years. So I can never say that. What I will probably never do is Mission Space Orange. I don't like the spinning, so I will never do that one. And I'll probably never golf at Disney World because I'm not a golfer. So I'll probably never take 6 hours of my Walt Disney World time to play golf when I'm not a golfer. So that's probably 2 things like top of mind that I would never do.
Yeah, it's a good one. I was trying to think about some of like the boat rentals or golf. I don't think I did it actually when I was a kid because my dad golfed and I golfed with him. We did it once, but I'm not a golfer anymore.
So you have done it then?
So I know I have done it. Yeah. First one I actually thought of, but I can't say I'd never do it, but I can't see me ever doing is getting a VIP tour, just because of the cost and stuff like that. But you never know, like if I did it with like 3 other couples or something like that.
Yeah,
start
but
splitting
like
the cost, there's probably a way to make it work.
I mean, I could see like 5-10 years from now, right? You know, our kids are all grown and we can go whenever we want type of thing.
Yeah.
I could see like my wife and I, you and your wife, maybe another couple or two, all kind of just splurging on like a VIP tour. I mean, I could see the possibility of that. My wife's interested in it. I'm like, well, it's going to cost us thousands of dollars. So I could see that happening. That I would never put never in that statement. It's not likely,
Right.
but not
That's
never.
kind of where I'm at with it too. So I couldn't really think of anything other than, you know, it's like, oh, well, most likely I'll never get to stay in the Cinderella suite in Cinderella Castle or something like that you have no control over.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I will never walk from the Grand Floridian to Magic Kingdom. I know I will never do that. I will always take the monorail or a boat. I will never do the walk unless they build another resort over there. And now it's just like you could do a nice walk around there, but I don't want to do that long walk of nothing. I'm
trying to think of things that aren't just money, because like part of it's like, well, I can't imagine I'm ever going to stay at the bungalows at the Poly because of how expensive they are or something like that. But I'm trying to just think of something that I don't think I'd ever do. And I can't really think of anything because almost everything, whether it's I've done, you know, Mission Space Orange or something, almost everything I'm willing to do once, you know? So it's like, it's hard for me to think of anything.
Yeah. I mean, like there's plenty of things that I can never say and will never do because I want to do like basically everything at Disney World. There's nothing I have zero interest in.
Yeah.
But probably golf. I have zero interest in doing something I can do. You know, there's plenty of golf courses between my house and your house. There's plenty of golf courses that are much better than anything that's at Disney World at this point. So I think, I don't know why I'm stuck with golf. I can't think of anything else I would never do. I mean, I know my list of things I want to do is very long that I've never done before. There's very few things on there that I can think of, to be honest with you.
Okay. Lumpy asked, who is the person, living or dead, that you would most like to spend a day in the parks with? And I think this was the one where I added the caveat, we can't pick Walt.
I know. I was just going to say, you can't pick Walt. Goodness, living or dead? Like just because you want to spend time with them, or because maybe the access they provide that comes along with them?
I would think more just being with them in the parks, not that they're because they can get you. Like, don't say Bob Iger just because he can get
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, right? Like, I could get that VIP tour if I'm with Bob Iger, right? I could knock that one off the list. I don't know. I mean, this is a good one. You know, I don't have any family members right now that I haven't been to. I mean, I would like to spend the day at the parks with my dad, but I did that as a kid. He hasn't come down on a lot of our most recent trip. I think we'll get him down on the next one. I mean, I don't really care about famous people at all or celebrities. So that's like, oh, I want to spend the day with Barack Obama at Disney World. I mean, like, I don't really care about that or any famous person. I don't get it. I don't know. That's really tough. It would probably be, God, I pick any famous Imagineer that you could think of, like Joe Rohde at Go Walking Through Animal Kingdom, something that I could get like really cool, like behind the scenes, like stories about different things. It's got to be the Imagineer's got to be willing to do it, obviously, and not care about going through stories he's probably told millions of times already, that type of thing. But maybe Joe Rohde going through Animal Kingdom. I think that'd be, that's one, you know. I mean, there's plenty of some of the surviving Imagineers for Disneyland. That'd be really cool too. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of at the top of my head.
Yeah, that was the first one I thought too, was Joe Rohde or some of the other big Imagineers that they can walk you through and point out really interesting things that, you know, if you've ever done a tour, they kind of do that, but this would be on like the next level. Bringing an Imagineer who passed away a long time ago, showing them like what the parks have become would be kind of interesting to get their reaction to things.
I didn't think that angle.
You know, like Mark Davis or something like that could come back and show them like Galaxy's Edge and things like that.
That's a better answer. I mean, like just kind of see, I'm assuming that they're spending the parks, they already know what the parks look like. I didn't really think about like, you know, some that have or have been gone for a while, be like, here's what current technology looks like, and see their faces react to it. That'd be pretty neat too.
Yeah. And then the other person I thought of, like you mentioned, your dad. My dad passed away about 20 years ago, so he hasn't been there. He hasn't met any of his grandkids or anything like that. So to be able to go to the park with him, I think, and that's one place where I remember him being more like, I don't know, like happy for lack of a better
Yeah.
word, just when we were kids.
Less stressed.
Less stressed is a good way of putting it. So I think if I could get to relive that, I would like to do that. So.
Yeah, that's how my family describes me, as like, the only place you're ever happy is in Disney World. I'm like, well, it's the only time I'm not thinking about like bills and work and a million things at once. It's like we can just kind of, you can be you at that point and forget about the outside world. That's why I like Disney World so much, right? It's the only place I can kind of turn my brain off.
Yep, no, I hear you. Matt Pato asked, and this kind of gets back to a comment you made a little earlier, is what would make you get out to Disneyland? Because he's obviously always pushing for people that haven't done Disneyland yet to do it.
I mean, honestly, I was talking about this to my wife. We went for a walk the other day, and the only thing preventing me from going to California to do that is just the cost of airfare of getting my family out there. And then I was like, what if it's just you and me? And we kind of just go out there sometime in the next year and take like a little weekend and, whatever. And that's possible. Honestly, it's the cost of airfare, one, that's preventing me from doing it like normally. And then it's finding the time that we can, if it's going to be without the kids, it's just my wife and I, how do we get a babysitter? My mother, who usually takes care of our kids when we kind of go away, she's a school teacher. So she's on like a school schedule. So it's not like, it would have to be the summertime, and then you're taking a vacation without your kids during summertime. And they always yell at us when we've done that once or twice in the past. So that's basically it. It's airfare.
So we've done it once. It was actually, I can't believe it was already over 10 years ago that we went down there the one time, or over there the one time. We have been thinking about going back. My son's asked about it. Like he wants to get back there and do the things that he was really young when we went. So I think he wants to like kind of relive it and actually remember it a little bit more. I've kind of penciled in going it over one time after they finish some of the work they're doing on California Adventure. So when the Coco ride's done, when they finish the Avengers Campus, just because I got a bad taste in my mouth from California Adventure. And I know they've done work in the past 10 years, but I'm kind of like, let's let them finish it so I can get like the real proper reaction to this park. So whether that's 3 years out or whenever that's going to be, that's kind of like where I'm penciling in our next Disneyland trip.
That's a good answer. I like that.
Seventhton asked, do you think alcohol should be served inside the parks?
I mean, my answer is yes. That always comes with a caveat that Disney does a good job not over serving people, right? Like, I don't know if generally, yeah. I mean, the impetus, I guess, is the new lounge, the Beacon Barrel, right? From all the stories, maybe you've been there now. You get 2 drinks and you get out. There's probably zero way that you can become intoxicated at Magic Kingdom, assuming that you're not being irresponsible and drinking too much before you get into the parks.
Yeah.
Because like what would be the fastest way to get intoxicated at the Magic Kingdom, right? So you would have to start at the Beacon Barrel, then time up a second reservation to kind of go in, which would be 4 drinks. In mild drinks, I would imagine. They're not. I don't think that they're too strong.
Beacon barrels were fairly strong, actually.
Were they really? Okay.
Yeah, they were. You could definitely taste it. Compared to other lounges and stuff, they were pretty.
Fair enough.
But it's still like, it's 4 drinks over a couple hours or whatever.
Which is tough to get intoxicated. But I mean, then you could maybe get like a dinner reservation at like Cinderella's Castle or Beauty and the Beast, and that's where their alcohol is. But that's like, it's going to take a while to get in there and get drinks. Like, I don't think. I'm not going to say it's not possible, but for most people, I think by the time you would have enough drinks, you'd just be tired of waiting and walking around before you get to that point.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that's what people are worried about, right? Is adults being drunk around children. In Magic Kingdom, I'm not too worried. Now, if they opened up just like a legit bar, like they do in like Animal Kingdom or like Epcot, I would be against that.
Yeah.
I think the drinking at those places is pretty limited to begin with. Anyway, Animal Kingdom, I wish they served more variety of alcohol, because I think that park would be really cool if you could grab a beer, you walk around, you can watch the entertainment. I really like that. Same thing with Epcot. At Hollywood Studios, I think it's too prevalent in my opinion. Not because I'm a stickler for, or teetotaler at all, but like if I'm walking up to get my kids a slushie, like there shouldn't be a Jack Daniel's slushie like right next to it. Like that's the kind of thing I kind of dislike in some of the things in Hollywood Studios. But I think alcohol should be served as long as everybody's responsible, and Disney prosecutes the people that abuse it and kind of toss them, that sort of thing. What do you think?
I'm the same, and I don't know if it's hypocritical or not, but I'm also the same where I don't want to see like beer carts on Main Street or anything like that.
Right.
But otherwise, I'm all for it. Whenever I've seen people having issues, it's because they've pre-partied. I've seen empty cases of beer in the parking lot and stuff like that. If somebody wants to get hammered, they'll figure out a way.
Yeah, you're not preventing that.
So, I think it's fine. I think, keep it in theme, keep it creative, keep it restricted and that sort of thing. I will say I'm looking forward to when we go to Paris because they have alcohol in their Disney park. You can get glasses of champagne right on Main Street and stuff like that. And my wife and I are definitely going to do that. We'll do it probably once, not getting hammered or anything like that.
Right.
But yeah, I think it's fine. I think they handle it well in Magic Kingdom. And like I said, it's unfortunate when some people decide that they want to get hammered or whatever. But I think if somebody's hell bent on doing it, they'll figure out a way to do it.
Yeah, my line would be like carts, like where you get the cheeseburger egg rolls walking into it, and like if you could buy like a Bud Light walking in there too, and you see people walking around with like Bud Lights or I'm not doing that in the Magic Kingdom at all. That's different. Everywhere else is different, I guess, in theme, but yeah, Magic Kingdom is like the line I draw that on.
I agree. The next one, Wheezy and Brett 3Day had similar questions. Wheezy asked, if you didn't live where you live currently, where in the country would you want and for what lifestyle and travel reasons? And then Brett asked, would you move to the South?
Where in the country would I want to live? That's a very good question. I'm very happy. Like I spent 40 years of my life living in New Jersey, and I moved only 3 hours south into Maryland. So it's not drastic of a change. I really don't have any desire to live anywhere else. Like I live close to two pretty good airports in Philadelphia and Baltimore. I have all of the, I guess, I don't do too much shopping. There's good restaurants around here. Not that our kids allow us to go out and eat. I mean, I'm not a skier, so it's not like I want to live in like mountain country or anything else like that. Have easy access to skiing. I grew up going to the beach, but I'm not altogether a big beach person. I'm not a big camper, right? Like I'm comfortable in my house watching TV or being on the computer, and I travel quite a bit. I'm happy with it. So I wouldn't want to move anywhere. But the second part of the question is, would you move to the South? We had a conversation the other day, my wife and I, with other family, and we were like, we were talking about, would you want to work at Disney World? I'm like, I don't think I would ever want to actually work there with my knowing what I currently do. But I'm like, I wouldn't mind retiring and going work at Disney World. My wife's like, but I was like, we would never do this. And my wife's like, you're definitely going to do that. I'm like, I don't think I could get you down to Florida and living in that heat, assuming that by the time I retire, Disney World's still above sea level at that time. But like, I don't know if I would want to live in the Florida heat like all year round, but I would love to be like 70 years old and kind of just, I don't know, working the gate at the Magic Kingdom or something else like that. I think that would be cool. That would be the only reason why I moved to the South would be to kind of get that experience. I don't know how long I would last, having a part-time job, but that would be kind of cool. What about you?
Yeah. So, I mean, moving to the South, I've already, it was a deal with my wife that at some point we will, when we're old, like not anytime soon. But she's cold all the time. So kind of agreed, like, okay, well, you'll deal with being cold. And then at some point I'll deal with being hot. My ultimate retirement goal is to be like true snowbirds and have like half the year in the north.
That'd be great. Yep.
In the South. As far as like where in the country, I haven't really lived anywhere else. I've lived my entire life in the New York metro area. So it's hard for me. It's not that I'm like, I would never move. It's like, I'd be open to it, but it's not like I really thought about, any one specific spot I'd want to be. I'd probably would want to go somewhere with milder weather. So maybe like North Carolina, South Carolina, like that type of weather. I will say not that I could do Southern California, but we did really enjoy our time out in Napa. That area was lovely. I'd have to probably win the lottery to afford like living in those towns. Cause they're with the wine and stuff, it's not inexpensive.
It ain't cheap.
Those are kind of ones that jump out at me. So I'm open to, I do think I'd want to be relatively close to a major airport though, so we could travel. So whether that's, to San Francisco, Chicago, whatever it is, I'd want to be somewhere where where international flights were happening and stuff like that.
I would never move anywhere in like basically the middle third of the country, right? Retiring, like I don't want to deal with the winter areas of basically from like Illinois and north.
Yeah.
And then like in the Arkansas, Missouri area, there's a lot of rough weather and tornadoes and all this stuff like that. Not a fan of Texas. I've been there. My sister lives down there. Great places to visit. I don't think I would want to live there. I wouldn't mind living in like the Atlanta or Georgia area. It's a lovely state. The Carolinas are very nice too. I spent a lot of time there. I've done a lot of traveling in basically everywhere east of the Rockies over the last decade. And you're right. Temperate weather would probably be like, you don't understand being in Maryland versus like mid to northern New Jersey. Like just moving down here, we get very little. Like you were talking about all the snow that you got.
Oh yeah. I just had to snow blow and stuff.
We got rain. Like it's windy right now because of where we live, but like it's already moderate here. It gets cold, like it's down to the 20s, but it's not like I wouldn't mind being somewhere where it never gets below like 45, 50. So I'm assuming that's kind of somewhere in Georgia, South Carolina area type of thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I've never really thought about it, but I thought about retiring to Florida to work at Disney because that would be kind of fun to do for a couple of years, but I don't know how serious that is on my side.
Herdamaniac asked, have you ever tried to make any Walt Disney World recipes at home, either drinks or food dishes? If so, which ones? And he mentioned that he tried to replicate some of the side dishes from Polite Pig.
All right. I've done the Disney cornbread before. It came out pretty good. I like that. My daughter we got her a book for Christmas like 2 or 3 years ago of like Epcot favorites, like it's an Epcot favorite cookbook. I think she did some mac and cheese that was in there. Like basically she made her own roux and everything else like that. But I haven't done anything else drinks wise. Like I don't mix a lot of drinks at home because I'm lazy. Like I'm not a big cocktail person. Like if I'm having liquor at home, it's basically I'm having a glass of scotch. That's or whiskey, right? I'm sipping that. I'm not actually taking the time buying all the mixers and everything else at home. Just give me a good glass of scotch and I'm a very happy person. What about you?
So we really haven't, and I'm trying to think of why. I don't know why.
You got to do the cornbread. I do. I'm the opposite of you. I do a lot of cocktails and tea and drinks and stuff like that. So I make Mai Tais and stuff all the time. So I have a lot of drinks that are either the same or similar as at Trader Sam's, but it's just because we're both making tiki drinks now because I'm trying to make Trader Sam's drinks. Where did that joy of tiki come from? Was it because of Disney and then you brought it on?
I think it was, yeah.
What's the origin of that?
I think it started with Disney and like just the Tiki Room and Trader Sam's and stuff like that. And then learning more about like Walt's interest in it and the Polynesian and stuff like that. So I think that's where it started.
And it did not. I hope it didn't start. Did it start when you were 12 or when like you were an adult that you could actually enjoy?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just kidding. I'm just wondering. I was wondering if it was like a chicken and the egg thing. Like, did you like that kind of like tiki stuff and then you saw it in Disney World and it just grew, or it was the Disney World the impetus?
I think it was probably Disney started it off and stuff. But then it also kind of felt like something you could do at home that kind of felt vacation-y and stuff like that.
Sure.
And I'm wondering if that's one reason we haven't really done the Disney World dishes, because I almost like keeping Disney separate. Like it feels special when you have something at Disney. So I don't necessarily want to have it at home, but I don't know. It's an interesting question that I haven't thought about.
That's a really good point. Keeping the Disney in Disney.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people like bringing the Disney stuff home and doing it while you're missing. So I get like wanting a little taste of Disney when it's like, let's say you're 1 in every 3 or 1 every 4 year type of person that you want like in like year 2 after you've gone, you got another year or 2 before you go back that you would want like a little taste of it. But yeah, when we go as often, when I say often, I mean still once every 12 to 16 months is still often.
Yeah.
I like keeping some of that magic over there, so it's not like a normal everyday thing.
Yeah,
so
I think about like now that you can get like Dole Whip so many places, it feels less special than when you could only get it at Disney and stuff like that. So I think maybe that's some of it. I don't know.
I never thought Dole Whips were that special to begin with, so everybody can crucify me on that one. But no, I get your point for sure. I used to like the one thing I got was I used to buy like the Mickey ice cream bars that you can get at the food store. But they're not the same, and they're a lot smaller. So I think that doesn't count because it's obviously not a real Mickey bar. So I'm okay with that one. So that doesn't count if you're into that.
Ryan W. asked, and this is a question for you, Jason. How did you come up with the intro to the pod?
But just being OCD and not like, is it the intro? Is it like is he talking about like hi friends, welcome to this week's pod, or is it like the video
I'm assuming he
intro?
assumes the video intro, which obviously the audio also plays.
Okay, so the evolution of that. So if you go fast forward to the end, the outro music, that was our original intro music, right?
Yep.
So when we first started the podcast, I needed to come up with some royalty-free music. Not that we ever really care about royalty because we're not commercialized, but like, there's plenty of royalty-free music that you can get out there. And this is before AI. And we found that. So then, after I think we did like a year and a half of not being on YouTube. And then once we got onto YouTube, we needed something visual, I guess, as like a montage. And I like tinkering around with things. So I made a whole new intro. And I'm trying to remember what did I do prior to the most recent video one? Was it there was an iteration about like 2 years ago, right before the one I have right now. I can't remember what that is for the life of me. But the latest one was like, hey, I just want like a little montage, and I just pulled out old video. You vetoed a couple of clips because I didn't notice that we had like kids and stuff like that on them, so we had to get rid of those. But I found some good video. I actually have B-roll that for my last trip that I took just in case I ever wanted to like update or redo something. Like the angle of like the tiki room is like slightly off, and I was just videotaping that for my own sake, and I found it. But I'm like, when I went to my last trip, I want like dead center because there was nobody in line. And I got like nice and close and framed it perfectly with my phone. Unfortunately, my phone's camera I have a Pixel Fold, and the camera is not very good on that compared to like, my work iPhone or my wife's Pixel. So there's no impetus. It's just like I like tinkering with things. I'm very happy with the way it is right now. And, the music behind it, I mean, I got all my clips. I find all the clips that I like. I kind of put them in order. And then I was like, okay, what can I do music wise? Do I just find some like gentle, like, Magic Kingdom-ish kind of music and just kind of play it? Or like you can get like the hotel resort TV kind of music and play it over there, which is really nice. And I sometimes do with my home videos. Then I'm like, this is kind of lame. No one wants to listen to like a minute long kind of like whatever. So I started mashing up the different ride vehicle, music on top of it. And I kind of started meshing it together. I did some transitions and stuff and that's where it came. So there was like, how did I come up with it? It's like, I want to make a new one for no apparent reason other than I just want to make it. And I just stare at a screen and it just kind of comes together. So I didn't have like I want to do this and then I made it. It's just like a work in progress. So that's how I came up with it. There's no story behind it. Now I got to look up what our old intro was, and I'm very, very angry. So go to the next question. I'm going to look this up.
Okay, so the next question is from Lumpy. Asks, what realistic parks or resorts news would you be stunned by if it was announced? And it could be a good news or bad news.
Why don't you go first while I looked up this thing here?
The first one that jumps to mind, and I've seen some chatter about it. I don't know how realistic it is, but just the fact that some people have been talking about it is if all of a sudden, like they started charging or like limiting access to the transportation around the park, where like you had to either like scan your Magic Band or something to get on a bus or something like that. I know some people have been like just thinking of other ways they could monetize things, and this was one that people have talked about. I think that would stun me if they announced that they were going to have like restricting access to the transportation around the park.
Yeah, that's a really good one. The one that I would be stunned by would be an opening of a fifth park. That would stun me because I don't think that's ever happening. What would stun me would be like significantly reduced ticket prices or Disney lowering the price on anything. That would stun me. Yeah, like monetizing transportation would stun me. I don't think they would ever do that, but that would definitely stun me. Changing anything with the annual passes, like completely getting rid of the annual passes outside of like Florida annual pass, I think that would stun me. Closing hotels and resorts, that would stun me. Like closing anything like significant, that would stun me. Honestly, like putting like the Simpsons in the park or something else like that.
Like I was thinking of that too, like some of the IP that like always gets rumored around, like Simpsons or Futurama or something like that. Like, I don't know, maybe if they ever did a fifth gate or something like that, that could go there. But yeah, if all of a sudden there was going to be a Simpsons resort or something like that, that would stun me.
Yeah. Okay, so I looked at our intro, just going back. Basically, we had the same theme song. And it was like 20 some seconds or so, but it was just the YouTube thumbnail with the thing playing in the background, right? So I added video to the actual music because we have only had 2 intros, right? The original like little blip and then like the new one that I made. And I so much like the new one that I have no interest of ever changing that. I really like that one. I might edit the video in years to come, but it would always, I think that music is here to stay.
It fits well, yeah. I'm all good for that. Mama06 says, what is our favorite Disney restaurant?
Oh man. This year, I guess is the question, right? So let's see. On my last trip, what were this year? Okay, so this year, maybe this should have been a good like 2025 in review question that we should have done. But you know, of the new things I've done this year at the parks, let's put this one here. I'm going to ask you something.
Okay.
What are, before we get to the restaurants aspect of things, what are the top 3, if there are any? If there are more, please list them. New things that you've done at Disney World this year. Things that you have not experienced before. Are there any to begin with?
No, there's definitely a few. First one that comes to mind, maybe because I'm thinking of restaurants, is we did the breakfast at Topolino's.
Okay.
It was the first time we did that, and I thought that was great. I really enjoyed that. Trying to think what else was. Well, Beacon Barrel. We love that.
Okay.
I think that's kind of an easy one.
Outside the new attractions, right? I think that doesn't count. Maybe it does count. I don't know.
I mean, I'm trying to think of what
I don't know why I'm putting rules to this question.
Well, it's your question. So
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, it's just it wasn't just this year, but the fact that I've been doing these kind of one-on-one trips with the kids, I think is
that's a good answer. Yeah,
good new thing that we've been doing. So those would be the 3.
Mine are, to answer your question, like I've done like, you know, all the new shows, right? I haven't been since the Beacon Barrel opened, right? Because I went last was in July. But I did Shiki Sai, which is, I think that's my new favorite restaurant because we were there. We were there at like 3:30, 4 o'clock. It was somewhat empty. We got a table with me and my daughter just by the window. It was absolutely fantastic. Loved that. Loved the food. The food was good too. We did Topolino's for dinner. That was a really good restaurant. I really enjoyed my time there. Thankfully, on the dining plan, so I didn't really care about the $400 bill that came with that thing. Other new things, I did Mission Space Green for the first time, just so I can knock that one off the list. I will never go back because I think that attraction is just aged completely. Not a fan of it, especially the I don't know why I'm going into this. I'll just stop now. Favorite restaurant at restaurant, I think is probably Shiki Sai, just because of the view and the food is good, and it was just like a nice, simple experience, and the inside is quite lovely too. What would be your favorite Disney restaurant?
We definitely have a few, but the one that comes to mind, like if there's like you could only go to this one, or like which ones do you have for like special occasion stuff, it's probably California Grill.
Okay.
We've done it a number of times. I had some really good memories once when we went with another family and I kind of planned it all around. It's just show up here, come here. And it happened to be during, obviously I planned it that way to be during fireworks. And the other dad was like, you planned it this way, didn't you? I was like, yep.
Mm-hmm.
My wife and I went there for our 5th anniversary. That's another great memory you have, where we went out to watch the fireworks, and our server brought us out like complimentary glasses of champagne to have while we were out there watching the fireworks.
Oh, that's good.
Stuff. So we just have a lot of nice memories. I think the food there is really good. You can't beat the view and stuff like that. So it's not one, especially with the prefix menu now, that we're going to do like every trip. But if I had to pick one to do, it would probably be that one.
Yeah, my wife's not a big foodie because she's a vegetarian, and Disney does a good job accommodating vegetarians, but their vegetarian menus are very
they
simplistic.
definitely have options for vegetarians at California Grill, but it'd be like 1 or 2 things for each course. So it's like,
so they're not very creative when it comes to vegetarian dishes, like on the menu. Like if you ask them to make something, they will, but like it's not like, oh, here's a lovely 8 different things I get to choose from, and then there's like a one vegetarian option at the bottom. So that doesn't make my wife too excited to do a bunch of things. That's why she loved Yak and Yeti, because of quite a few of those things were vegetarian. That'd probably be her favorite restaurant right now. The next question, Phil, I don't know how you want to answer this one. What is your day job and who do you work for? I won't mention, for me personally, I won't mention the company that I work for.
I don't think I'll say the company name either, but I'm happy to say what I do. I'm a structurer for a global reinsurance company, which means we insure insurance companies. So it's trust me, it's way more exciting than it sounds. A lot of what we do is capital management transactions, financial transactions. But what I do, and when I explain it to my kids and stuff, I say I do a lot with spreadsheets.
Yes.
So there's definitely an overlap and where the kind of skills come into this. So it's I do financial work for insurance companies, but it's a global company, which is nice. So I've gotten to go. That's how I wound up in Hong Kong, was for work and stuff like that. I'm in Europe a lot. The company's based in Switzerland. So yeah, that's kind of what I do.
I wear a lot of different hats at my job. I'm an automation engineer, right? But I do sales, application engineering, do project management. I do system engineering, and other troubleshooting and stuff like that. But essentially, I get to play with robots, and I get to make robots do work in real life things. So when we talk about, if you remember the article I did for Touring Plans this year, where it was like, how all the different components come together and how they kind of fit, like as a system engineer, it's like, I guess that's what I would call myself as a generic engineering term. I love how all the different parts in an ecosystem come together and kind of how one thing affects another thing. So I do that for work quite a bit. So like logistics and stuff like that, I'm pretty good at. So, but I do it with robots. So I have fun doing it. So I guess that's as much as it's very boring until you get to see robots do things, but everything leading up to it is just typical kind of job stuff.
Yep. Wheezy asked, if we're doing the Disney College program, what role would you want? And specific, not just attractions and why. And then actually, this kind of came up earlier. If you were to retire around Disney and work part-time at an older age, what role would you want?
Ooh, so Disney College program. Do you have a choice on where you work, or do you just get assigned? I don't know how it works.
I know you can put in like kind of your request, but it's kind of like dining, attractions, characters. Like it's kind of like an area you want to be in, and I think maybe you list your top 3 or something like that. I'm probably butchering this or something like that, but you can have some input, but it's not guaranteed, and you're kind of more or less placed where you want, but hopefully at the area that you're interested in.
If you could get into like operations, like I would love to do that, but I don't think you could do that. I don't
know if they do that as part of the college. It's more like frontline stuff.
Yeah. Obviously attractions would be number 1 for me. Number 2 would be like, I would say retail, only because I spent like almost a decade of my life in restaurants, like working, as a teenager and in young 20s as a bartender and stuff like that. So I'm like, I don't know if I want to relive all those nightmares I have from doing that for so long. Retail, I'd probably be due, because it's, at least you're not running around and doing crazy things like you are when you're waiting on tables. So respect to all the servers out there. But I think I would do attractions. Well, he says just not attractions, right?
Well, he said can be more specific. Don't just say just attractions.
Okay. So am I like picking a specific attraction type of thing?
Specific attraction or type of attraction or something like that.
I mean, like I mean, like if I don't know if I would want to be, my least thing in attractions would be the people, like helping people board. Like I get, like, to me, being around that many people all day would like just kind of be claustrophobic. I think I'm thinking about the people that get you onto like Big Thunder Mountain, where you're kind of all the way down there and kind of like the dungeon, like, how you kind of go down and like you're just among crowds of people. I'm like, how do you not get sick constantly being around that many people? But I would love to be like the people that's like scanning you in the lightning lane area, that sort of thing. I think that'd be kind of cool. You get to interact with a lot of people. As silly as it sounds, I wouldn't mind being one of the people that walk around with just like a broom and a waste thing and just help clean up the park and kind of take care of that type of thing. I don't know. I don't think that's college program level stuff. I think that's actually janitorial, work. Retail, I'm trying to think of a retail space. I would definitely not want to work in anything on Main Street. That's to me, that's just like way too hectic.
It's
a nightmare. So like +1 to all the people that work and kind of put up with the Emporium. I don't know. I mean, like, I think working in some of like the different snack shop areas, like what's the one right in front of Space Mountain, where the Joffreys, I forget what the actual name of it is, but like
the launching pad.
One of those things might be kind of fun to work at, that sort of thing. Working at, like, I wouldn't mind being a bartender at the what's the name of the bar? I can't remember the name of it. In Africa, right in front of where the performers work, right by the Tusker House.
Bar?
Dawa Bar, thank you. Yes, something like that. I think that would be kind of cool. But again, I don't think that's college
Yeah, I
program
don't think
type
that's
stuff
college
either. I'm just thinking about different. So like, okay, well, how about when I'm an older retired person? I can still bartend when I'm
Yep.
like 65 years old. So there's your answer. If I'm, walking around, assuming I still have my health and I can still walk around easy, I wouldn't mind being the person that kind of sweeps up type of things. I remember there was a gentleman that was of retirement age. I think we were getting ready for the fireworks in front of the Chinese theater. This is before Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway, so it was like 2017, I want to say. He was there to just basically make sure people don't sit in where the pathway was going to be for the crowds, right? So like before they put down the tape, before they put up any kind of rope, he was just kind of there directing people's traffic because there was people starting to sit down. And he just sat there for like an hour before the show telling us just like Disney trivia. Did you know this? Did you know this? Like general Disney trivia, the parks trivia, all this other stuff. And he just seemed like he was saying, yeah, my wife's still a teacher. I'm retired and I'm kind of here doing this. And he entertained like the 5 families that were sitting there way too early for the fireworks show, with just like nonstop, like fun little tidbits and stuff like that. I can imagine me just now talking to like families about everything that I know about Disney over the 30 years or plus. So just like doing a podcast. So that's really fun. And he was a guy that was just, managing traffic. That's all he was in. Please don't sit here, move to the side, please. All that type of stuff. So it wasn't arduous. You weren't walking around. You just had to, work your 5-hour shift managing traffic for the nighttime spectaculars. I thought that was pretty cool. So that's probably what I would do. I just realized I answered that question. You did not answer it whatsoever. So what about you?
Yeah.
Sorry.
So for the college program, I think if I had to pick an area, it probably would be attractions, and I would want to do something like where getting to see the backstage areas was cool. Like, so like maybe a roller coaster, like working like Tron or Guardians or something like that, where then you got to see like the show building with the lights on and things like that, and like kind of checking the track and all that sort of stuff, and understanding more about like the engineering behind them and how they work. Not that you're learning like the
but just to see it
or anything like that, but like kind of see a little how the sausage is made for some of those like dark ride attractions and stuff like that. So that's probably the one that comes to mind. Similar to you, I think if I'm retired, I would definitely be interested in working at one of the bars, whether it's like the Peak and Barrel or even just at like Baseline Tap House or something like that. I think would be fun. Or I'd want to pilot one of the boats that takes people around. I think that would be
that's a good one.
You get outside, you're still kind of covered. You get to talk to people. You're out on the water. I've talked to a few people, some of the older guys doing that, and like that retired down to do that, and they seem to be.
You got to get a license and everything for that, though.
Yeah.
Driving a boat, something to do, right? Something to do.
I'm willing to commit to it.
I like it. That's a good answer. I like that very much.
All right, so I will just take a minute to pause. We are exactly halfway through the questions, and we are at the hour mark. Do we want to keep going, or do we want to...
As predicted? Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Why not? We're doing this earlier in the day, and I think I have some time before I start getting yelled at.
Okay. Next one is from TL Madden asks, how much of your Christmas tree is Disney ornaments?
Not many. Like a lot of our ornaments are from when I was a kid that were handed down. So there's a collection of them. My wife years ago got larger Christmas balls that had like that were for each park that were really nice. We get a Disney ornament other than our last vacation in 2023. We didn't get it. Even though we went during Christmas, we didn't get one. That was the only year, but we typically have one for each one of our trips. So, I mean, we got like a dozen or so. And we have a couple like Minnie and Mickey's that have like our names on them and stuff like that. But like a good amount, but I wouldn't say over 15-20%.
Yep. We have a lot. Same thing from various trips and when kids were born and stuff like that. So we have a lot. Mm-hmm. However, of late, because we have 3 cats, one of them is kind of still a young kitten who likes to climb in the tree and off and stuff. So right now we just have kind of like not breakable plastic cheap ornaments on now. We don't have any of our nice Disney ornaments on there. If we put everything on, especially because it's a relatively small tree, it'd probably be around a quarter of them, or maybe Disney or something right, like that. But yeah, this year I think there might only be 1 or 2 because they're non-breakable ones. But otherwise, it's just cheap things that she constantly is knocking off the tree and stuff like that.
I'm also thinking now, like I've got a bunch of like Star Wars ornaments that are like, I don't consider those Disney, but I guess those are Disney ornaments, right? So something like that, because that's always been my favorite movie. All right, what's the next question?
Mama 6 asks, when was your first trip to Disney?
See, I don't know. I have to ask my mom. I mean, like I have memories. Like we went through some of my mom's, like I store all of her old photos in one of our closets here because we have more storage space in my house. And I went through a whole bunch of them, and I found a picture of like me and my dad, and I must have been like 9, 10, 11 years old in front of the castle and stuff like that. So I like that would be my first trip to Magic Kingdom, but like, is that I guess that's considered my first trip to Disney as a kid. But it wasn't Disney centric, right? We would go to Disney, then we went to like Cape Canaveral, and then we went to like Alligator World or whatever it was, and stuff like that, St. Augustine and stuff. And so it wasn't a Disney trip. It was just happened to be like, 1 or 2 days at Disney before moving on. So that would be my first, as an adult. My first trip was in 2015 when I had a 8-month-old and a 2-year-old at the time. So that would be my first like full memory Disney adventure, I suppose. What about you?
So my first one was 1984. I was 5, I think. So we started going when I was younger, about every 3 to 4 years. We had relatives down in Florida, so it was definitely like combined with seeing relatives, but we would spend 3-4 days at Disney. So I think we went like 84, 87, 91, stuff like that. And then we took a little bit of a gap when when I was like a teenager and stuff like that. We did a trip down to Florida as one of our spring break things and stopped at Disney, and then we went once as adults before we kids, but then it kind of went more hardcore once my youngest was born.
Like it's funny, like people have all these memories of Disney, but most people's adults' memories of Disney are from when they were like young teens into their teen years, because I don't have many memories of when I was younger than like 11 or 12, other than, a couple big moments in life. And I'm curious to see, as my kids get older, do they remember? Like my kids have been to Disney, I don't know, 8 times, and my oldest is 12, almost 13. So like when they're 20, are they going to have, obviously they're not going to have memories when they were like 2, 3, 4 years old, but like how ingrained is like Disney going to be in them as they, over the next decade too? So that's going to be an interesting question for them later on.
Matt Pato asks, which would get you more excited if they announced it at the D23 Expo? The Moana log flume attraction from that old concept art, it being added to the Magic Kingdom, or the Lion King attraction that's currently going into Disneyland Paris that was coming to Animal Kingdom?
This is a really good question. I'm equally excited at both, right? But what would get me more excited? Probably the Lion King attraction at Animal Kingdom, just because I think that park needs more fleshing out. I think that would be a really awesome concept, and it's a perfect fit, in my opinion. Moana log flume, as awesome as that would be, that probably means that there's modifications to the Jungle Cruise coming, and that might not be a happy thing. So I'm even though there's probably not the case, but there's a chance that something putting up in that area would be something else. Now, if they added like, what was the original Skull Mountain or like Skull Volcano? There's a volcano attraction kind of base for Magic Kingdom. Magic Kingdom. Like, wasn't there originally a volcano or Skull Mountain or something that's supposed to be in that area? Conceptually,
coaster of some sort,
something like that. Like, if that kind of like that would be a really cool weenie on that side of the park. Anyway, I'm diverting.
The answer, because there was also going to be in Beastly Kingdom. There was going to be
Animal Kingdom. I would say Lion King at the Animal Kingdom is my answer.
I'd say actually the Moana one, just because as far as a log flume, right? Because they're both kind of log flumes. I think Moana fits that better, and I think it would be a perfect fit too, and kind of round out Adventureland. I would love to see a Lion King attraction come to Animal Kingdom. I just don't know if maybe I just need to see it. I don't see how a log flume fits Lion King or something. I feel like for Lion King and I know the Encanto one will help this out a lot, but I think they need kind of more of those like more calm, everybody rides, people eaters. So I don't know. I'd love a Lion King attraction. I'm just not sure if that's the right Lion King attraction coming. So
I can agree with that.
I could be wrong. So, but just because of that, I would pick the Moana one.
I'm just more excited about the Lion King as it's being one of my favorite movies, just being expanded in theme at Animal Kingdom. But you definitely have a point. Maybe the log flume is like part of like, a flood or something else like that, and you're kind of running away from it or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Lumpy asks, how has the podcast changed the way we visit the parks?
So there's some really good questions. That's why I didn't want to stop, because I saw some really cool questions coming up. How has the podcast changed the way you visit the parks? It has not changed the way I visit the parks, because I think the way we do the parks is a natural evolution of how we started touring. Like 2015, not knowing anything, picking up a park map the first time at the park. What are we doing today? Right. To 2 years doing a bunch of different research and being like, I know how to do Fast Pass. I know how to do all this stuff and kind of going crazy. 2019, still going commando, rope dropping, wanting to do all the time. And then all throughout the last 5 years, going from like going crazy to like vacation in the vacation, right? I think that's a natural evolution as somebody that goes to the parks quite often. I don't think the podcast changes that. However, the podcast has changed the way I visit Disney World as a whole, not how I do the parks. And because every week we're talking about all the news, we are discussing things in Discord all the time, because now Discord exists because of the podcast. And I'm just so more engaged every day in Disney World. I lose some of the excitement about learning things about the parks because like I'm so up to date on everything. Nothing like surprises me or excites me, or like it's like I know everything that's going on. So there's like some of the magic is in a different area. I don't want to say it's gone, obviously, but like I don't know how to. I've walked myself in the corner because I don't know how to explain this perfectly. Right? I remember a decade ago, like I would love going onto the forums and reading trip reports and offering my advice of going into the parks. But because I have a podcast, I don't do that anymore because I do that on this show. Right? Not that I'm adding. I'm talking about advice or talking about strategy, or talking about different things. I'm not engaged with like people on message boards somewhere anymore. I'm not doing that because I do it once a week now, and it's kind of takes some of the shine off of that, I guess, because I have other things I'm doing. So I guess that's how it's changed. How I interact with the Disney community has changed me quite a bit.
Yeah, I agree with that, and it's probably going to extend off that. I mean, I do think maybe I have a little bit more thought process as I'm touring, knowing I'm going to have to do a trip report about the trip. And I do think just the fact we have the podcast has encouraged me to go more often.
Yeah.
The other thing is just knowing other people in the community. Like, you know, when I went down and we saw Drew and Scott and stuff like that.
That's
like
true.
That probably wouldn't happen if I didn't have the podcast. So kind of come to those connections, and even, you know, people on the Discord that are down there now, like, you know, whether it's Wheezy or Zach or Julie and stuff like that. Like, who knows if we didn't have the podcast, if we would see them.
Yeah,
go down.
new friends.
So I think like that way, but I don't know how much that impacts like actually touring the parks and stuff like that.
Now, I have a question. Would we be having vacation in the vacation conversations about how we do the parks if it wasn't for this podcast? Or would that have been a natural evolution? I don't know.
I agree with you kind of like, I think it would have been a natural evolution as you sort of get more comfortable and kind of, and try to figure out like what's about. We probably wouldn't call, you know, we didn't have a name to it like we have it now.
Sure.
Maybe it wouldn't be quite as much of a focus or be as like conscious about it, but it probably would have been part of the natural evolution to some extent.
Because I think what we do a lot on this podcast is iterate what we want to do, whether it's literally us planning a trip or just kind of our thoughts come out with different things of like, you know, updates to like lightning lanes and stuff like that. We're so always ever present in our minds about the things that are going on that I think we change how we do things. And I think that's just because the podcast is a production that we have to do every single week. We have to always sit down. We always have a 5-hour podcast every single week. That's what happens. But I think that's how it's changed. I'm more aware of a lot of things that I probably like. I mean, with how I am professionally, as a project manager and logistics person, I think I would have been the same level of like attentiveness. I just don't know if all the ancillary things would have been different at all.
Yeah. Seventh Ten asks, if there is a fifth gate, what should its theme be?
I don't know. I mean, you've got your movie park, you've got your animal park, you've got the Magic Kingdom, you've got the Epcot World Showcase type of thing. World's Fair type. Is there a place to make it like more adventuresome, like a more interactive park that's just not attractions? Like, I don't know what the theme should be because I don't know what kind of park it would be. To me, I think not that this question is a bad question. It's just I think the park is wishful thinking. Like, we're going to spend a lot of time thinking about, like, I would have said, like, if Villains Land wasn't open, it's like, yeah, it's a Villains Park. It's the opposite of the Magic Kingdom, right? That's the easy way to go.
Yeah.
With Villains Land opening, they're not going to open a Villains Park, so to speak. But I could see, like, if I, you know, push come to shove, if I had to make a decision right now without actually thinking about it anymore, I would say the park needs to be a physical adventure park, right? Like, you know, kind of more of like a dry water park, if that makes sense, right? Like climbing things, activities, that sort of thing, to like some kind of, you know, adventure jungle theme or whatever. I don't know. You're hopping through the trees in one area and you're sledding down sand dunes and I don't know what, like, kind of things like that. But I don't know if Disney wants to get into that.
Yeah,
that
I don't
thing.
know
So
about that.
I this is a tough question. I don't know how to answer it.
Yeah, I'm struggling too because I don't know if it'd be like trying to think of something completely different, but in reality, I think what it would be is like basically IP land.
That's Hollywood Studios at this point, right?
I think it would largely be like if Hollywood Studios was being built from the ground up today, with you don't really have the movie like old Hollywood theme elements to it. It would just be the different lands themed to the different IPs. I think it would be. I'd hope it would be sort of like how they do it with Disney Sea in Tokyo, where there's sort of like themes to the land and the IP fits into it, but it still kind of feels a little bit more cohesive. But I think that's what it would be. It would be kind of like you go from that's where a Zootopia land would fit and like things like that.
I mean, I would love a park that's just all Star Wars, like a giant Star Wars park or a giant like Marvel park, which they would never build and couldn't build at Disney World. I mean, but I don't think when I think I would love like a whole giant land or whole giant park with Star Wars. Going down a tangent because I know we have all these other questions to get to, but like Star Wars doesn't lend itself to like a good park because it's space.
It's space and ships and stuff.
That's
like
it.
That. And like
it doesn't
you could
really
do
work.
some of the scenes, sure, but it
doesn't really
like
work.
Harry Potter or whatever.
All right, let's move on. But I'd have to think about this question a lot more to make it more entertaining. So I'm sorry for that answer.
Ryan W said, "What is an unexpected thing that you really enjoyed about Walt Disney World prior to becoming a frequent visitor?"
Oh, that's an unexpected thing that you really enjoy about Walt Disney World prior to becoming a frequent visitor. The transportation, maybe.
Okay,
like
that's a good one.
I mean, when I as an adult, right? So I have to think about how do I get my family around everywhere, right? Okay, you have buses, and then no one likes riding a bus, right? Like it's not an enjoyable experience, like public transportation, that sort of thing. But by the second, third trip as a family, like really enjoying like the bus, like that's like, a thing, like, or the Skyliner, for example. Like Skyliner like is enjoyable in its own right because it's new, or the monorail is different, right? But like even the bus, like as much as you hate being crammed into a bus, whatever, but it's part of the journey of going to like some of the parks, right? So as much as I dislike being crammed to the bus, I kind of enjoy it because it means I'm at Disney World at that point, right? Because I'm not really taking a bus anywhere else. What about you?
The first thing that comes to mind, I'm thinking about it like when we started to go again as adults. And I don't know if this is what the question was getting at, but the food and like how good the food was and how many options there were and variety of it. Like, not to say I thought the food was going to be terrible or something like that. And maybe this is one of the reasons why like Epcot's my favorite, but I remember going down with my wife before we had kids and like, there's all these food booths and this different places. And back then they were doing seminars and things like that. Like there are all these things that kind of are like, this is like really cool and like not kiddie. And like, I don't know, like the level of that, like different food options you could have, especially in Epcot, I guess, was unexpected and was something that like drew us in.
Fair enough. That's a good. I would never think about food. I don't know. I'm trying to think of something else that's unexpected because, I mean, I expect to like, I don't know. I think the other unexpected thing is that I became a Disney adult since 2015, right? So I'll happily wear that moniker, and nobody can never shame me for that. The other one we kind of answered, the next one by Mr. Sheeps, I'll take over a little bit here. It's like the international Disney parks or something that you guys would want to get to, and if so, which take priority? I mean, you've already been a few, and you're about to cross off another list. So obviously, Paris is your priority because you booked it, right? And you already answered that your next one would be Tokyo.
Yeah, it'd be Tokyo,
right?
and I mean Shanghai's the one that I don't know if I'd ever get to, and who knows about Abu Dhabi and stuff like that. But otherwise, I'd like to get to them all. Yep.
They're all on the list. The China ones are kind of scary just for like geopolitical reasons, not anything else. For me, I would love to, if I could find, if going to Tokyo Disneyland is cheaper to go than going to Disney World for real, that would be on my list. I would really love to be able to do that trip. I like the idea of Paris only because I could get my wife on board with that because she just wants to be in Paris. She's never been. I've been once. If I'm ordering Paris or Tokyo, I don't know which one would come first. For me, I think it's Tokyo. The next one from Matt again would be, what would you make, try, or book? What would take you to book a Disney cruise? So For me, it's quite simple. My wife's fear of boats and water is the only thing that's preventing us from attempting to look into it, other than cost. But yeah, my wife is not good on boats or open water, so that's kind of
that makes it tough. We've done one. We enjoyed it. It's just hard. The cost is prohibitive. I think if they ever had them, I guess either if we ever moved to Florida, or if they ever had them out of New York again, I think we would consider it more. It's just you have the expense to get to Florida, then to get to the port, and then you're paying the high price of the Disney cruise. It just
it's tough.
It kind of snowballs. So if some of that element was removed, I think it would be easier. So I could definitely see us, especially, if we retire and move down to Florida and stuff like that, doing some weekend cruises and stuff like that. But right now it's just tough. And with the cost of doing like a big cruise with the kids.
Lumpy with another good question here. What's the biggest mistake you have made in terms of the podcast? Phil, I am perfect, so I've never made a mistake. What is your biggest mistake you've made in terms of the podcast, do you think?
I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe how we started out or didn't start out. That was always like, maybe we could have handled that better.
For those that don't know, we were originally going to be a podcast for the Diz, and that was long before all the things that are
so
going
maybe it
on
worked
there.
out well.
Yeah.
So that was kind of messy to start out with. I don't know. I mean, I guess maybe if we had more of a vision of what we really wanted it to be, and like to try to make it bigger or something. But I don't know. I think it's kind of become what we wanted it to be, right? Just like an excuse to talk Disney for 2 hours every week.
An hour and 20 minutes and counting. I mean, like we've never aimed to do anything with this podcast, right? Like it started off as like I'm a creator. I love creating things. Sometimes I'm good at creating things. Sometimes I'm bad at creating things. But I enjoy the action of creating things, about getting involved in things that I enjoy doing, right? Like so, if I didn't have Disney. Before I was a real big Disney person, I had a website. Like, I love playing video games still, and I was really big into playing video games prior to like streaming was a big thing, right? So I had I was a video game journalist on the side, and I had a podcast and all this other type of stuff. So I did a lot of that. I was very successful. I made a lot of money doing that. But that kind of fell through when, I started having kids, and I couldn't really put that much effort into it. And then I became a Disney person. So I would always have a podcast, but we never set out to be like, trying to get 10,000 subscribers on YouTube and make money doing this, right? Like if we truly wanted to make money doing this, we would have we're friendly with a lot of other content creators by just, hey, when we actually DM somebody, they get back to us, right? Like we're not like friends with people and stuff like that. But like if I email Len, like Len emails me back within like 2 hours with just random stuff if he has time. And, if this is not really a mistake, but like if we wanted to do that stuff, we was like, hey, Len, can we get you on like every 3 months? And then Scott Gussin, can we get you on once a quarter? And, Drew, the Disney dude, comes on basically anytime we ask him to. He's a great person. He's really fun to have on the show, but we don't stress having guests that would have improve our SEO and improve our algorithm. And we don't stress, like you do a great job on social media, but you do it for the fun of it, not trying to, do engage. Like if we wanted engagement, there's a lot of things we could be doing. And I spend time and money doing all these YouTube shorts because part of me, like, I would love to build we always want to build our viewership, right? But we're not like 100% into like constantly building engagement and doing things like that. I have a lot of ideas. Like Matt's idea of a daily, podcast that he was doing on Dis Happenings. I would love to do that. But I could do like a 3-minute like DBC daily show, like the news of the day type of thing. I don't know if I could do that 5 days a week, right? Yeah. That's really hard. Just scheduling wise. There's who Alton Brown is, the chef, the cook, right? He's got a new YouTube channel, or just some newer episodes come out. He does a really great way of doing like his presentation. I was thinking today, like I would love to do that on a weekly basis, but I don't have time to build props and write a script and do all this stuff. I would love to be able to do what Jack does, DSNY, but he doesn't do like a weekly show. He does like a monthly show or a quarterly show when there's stuff to talk about. And he's fantastic at it. He writes a script, and like, I don't have time. So I guess my mistake is I don't have enough time to do the things I really want to do. And I'm very happy with what we've never actually made a mistake where like, I regret doing that. It harmed us in some way or anything else like that. Like, so that's not a mistake that we've done. I think, I don't think we have any like mistakes that like, screwed something up, I guess, whatever. But I hope hopefully that answers, but that's a very good question, I think. Do you have anything else to add on that one?
Nope.
Popular? Okay. So Matt and Seventh Ton also had a combined question here. It says, what pre-COVID thing would you bring back that never returned? And if you could bring back one on-site perk, what would it be? So Phil, I'll let you go first on that one.
The first one that came to mind was the when you buy things and they would ship it back to your resort.
Yes.
I think that was like just made things more convenient, made me more likely to buy things in the park, and it made it more like, oh, I don't know if I'll find this somewhere else. Let me get it now, and I don't have to worry about carrying it around. So that's the first one that comes to mind. I'm sure a lot of people would say Magical Express. We didn't use it all that often, so it wouldn't be my first pick. But yeah, so that's the first one that came to mind was the merch to the resorts.
That's a very good one. I didn't think of that one off the top of my head, but yes. Magical Express, I think, is overrated. I think people like it just because it was like the start of their vacation. So it was very, very top of mind when they think about their Disney vacation, right? And the whole luggage thing, that was a phenomenal perk, right? Like I get not being like, I think if they brought back like luggage handling and not like the bus, I think that would be a huge thing, right? For a lot of people, like, hey, I'm going to put my luggage, maybe like a Disney has contracts with Amazon and they ship your luggage down and there's tracking or something else like that. Some kind of service where they pick it up at your doorstep and you could just go with your carry-on or your backpack or whatever. I think that would be awesome. But like, I think the actual bus ride itself is completely overrated. And there's going to be a whole generation of people that have never experienced their bus ride to the resort. And I think everybody's okay with that generally. But the hotel, sending merch back to the hotel, I think that's a big thing. I think we talked about this last week, the ticket prices and how cheaper they get the more you buy, that got shifted back. I would love to have that come back because that happened post COVID. I mean, there's a string of like entertainment things I would love to see back, but there's always going to be something that used to be in the parks that's not there anymore that I wish is back because, people are nostalgic for it. Like you always like to bring up the Hollywood studios, Citizens of Hollywood. Those were, a lot of people loved them. I always kind of walked past them because I thought they were kind of corny, but they were fun, but I didn't think it was like this massive thing. But it was more about streetmosphere, right? More things adding to the kinetics of the park type of thing. So I'm with you on that. But I don't really remember a perk that I really care about. Like everybody talks about.
Think of, and I don't know if this was COVID or just because of money. But when we used to get the magic bands in the mail, like for free.
Yes.
And, like, I think we talked about that before, just because it felt like anticipatory, like 6 months or whatever it was before.
That's it. Yep.
Like you used to get things in the mail that kind of like, oh, this is the next step. We're getting closer to the trip.
Pre-vacation cadence, Disney World did a fantastic job. Like you had to make your reservations was 120 days. Then you're
180 for right. For
was
dining.
it 180?
Yeah,
for dining.
Dining was 180.
6 months. Yeah. So 180 days. Then at what was it? Was it 60 days for the Fast Pass?
Fast Pass for on-site, yeah.
And then 30 days was your Magic Band. So like you had these things that are approached. And Disney was pretty good at sending you those materials prior. Now they send those materials like 3 days too late for my lightning lanes.
You can book your dining now. It's like, I already have them all booked. Good, thanks.
So I think if Disney wanted to do more, they could build up make that vacation special. Right. It still is special, but like have Disney reach out from Florida into your home, I think would be good. I miss that part of things. And I don't know if that was my naivete of being an adult getting Disney kind of doing that stuff. I don't know if I would feel the same now because I'm like, hey, Disney sending me this information. Yeah, I already know all this type of stuff. And it's just kind of whatever. But I kind of miss that thing too. So another question from Matt, Brett, and Seventh, again, with a combined, would you ever consider DVC? Do you want to join DVC? Have you guys ever discussed whether or not it makes sense for you to buy DVC? So a very DVC-centric question. Phil, I know we haven't done a lot of DVC conversations on this podcast, but what do you, we need to get Skier Pete on maybe one day and talk about DVC, but we're not DVC owners. My sister is. But what was your answer to the question?
So we've considered it now and then. I'm intrigued by Lakeshore Lodge. I think I mentioned that on the podcast. That I think as I'm getting older and thinking about even potentially like grandkids and stuff like that, like having DVC, I think would be convenient. Just every time I look into it, to have enough points to like vacation for 5 people or more, it's $30,000. So much. It's at least that, right? So it's like, it's like I think about it and then it's like, nah, that's not going to happen. So it's like I'm not anti DVC or anything like that. And I think if I did do it, I would want to do it, at least get one contract direct with Disney and then like maybe add on resale after or something like that. Because otherwise, if it's like just to have the points, it's like, well, I'll just rent the points or whatever, you know,
Yeah.
to stay there. So it's like, I don't know. I've thought about it, but it's just, it just seems like too much of a hurdle to get over.
I consider DVC like every year, right? Not seriously, because I know how much it costs. I have other things to spend money on. Like my kids go to private school now, and it's just like I've got that, and I've got like college is just on its way. How am I going to pay for that? And all these other things. So do I want to join DVC? Yes, because I want to do anything that has to involve Disney World.
Yeah,
I want to
exactly.
join, right? Like, so yes, but I'm not also the person that's just going to throw money away to join things just for the sake of joining them. Our like you, the size of our family, 5, like you could fit 5 in some of the suites. I do not want to fit my family in suites, especially as they get older. I don't think that would work for us. So it'd have to be like a 1-bedroom type of thing, and to get enough points for 1 bedroom is quite expensive. I think I will eventually buy DVC because my wife always asks, well, does it make sense to buy DVC? What I was like, look, DVC only makes sense if you're always going to stay at a deluxe resort and you're going to be going for at least 12 years. Because at the 12-ish year mark, 10 to 12 year mark is when you start getting the payback for it, right? It's basically that big old down payment. So I think the only thing that would make me want to buy it is if I got a big giant lump of money and I can drop 30 grand on it and do it, I would do it. But like, it just doesn't make financial sense for us. And I think if I bought DVC, like the one that would make sense is like being able to buy it, so enough points so you can bank the points and every other year you have enough for your vacation.
That's what I thought about too, yeah.
That would only make the years that I don't have the DVC points just make me frustrated and potentially like just steal points for the future just because I wanted to have it type of thing. The one thing I would consider, and I've never really put much effort into it, is buying in a smaller DVC contract, but then using that to do split stays, right? So that's the only thing. I haven't done the math and whether it makes sense, but like do like an all-star or moderate stay for like 4 or 5 nights, and then do like 2 to 4 nights at a deluxe to kind of cap our vacation there. I've never done the math on it, whether that makes sense, but that's another thing that I've kind of played around with in this big old head of mine. Next question, again, from Matt Brett and 7 Ton. They were all thinking the same thing, apparently. No, I'm sorry. I already read that one.
We just did that one. Yeah, next one.
Just from 7 Ton. Is if it meant 50% fewer people in the parks, would you pay 50% more in park tickets? And then to me, absolutely not. The park tickets are way too expensive. Yeah. If I wanted to do that, I could pay, double the price? No, about 25% more and get a party ticket for the same thing. And, you know, you get your Christmas ticket, get in at 4:00. You're staying to basically 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. You have 8 full hours. It's basically the same thing. So you can already do this if you really want to, and cheaper than 50% off. Yeah, I don't mind the crowds either.
I think it's just too much. And 50% is like more of a cut than needed, I think.
That's like $250.
Yeah. But even just like the number of people, I would like to see them maybe cap it a little lower. You're seeing some of the crowds this week, and it's just like, I think I counted at one point, 23 rides had an hour more.
Yeah, it's too much.
It's like, that's too much. So maybe on these popular days, they should increase the pricing by 15-20% and then cap it 15-20% lower or something like that. But 50% I think would be not enough people in the park to feel alive or whatever. So
well, I mean that because I was down. I'm sorry for that point. Sorry for interrupting, but we went down in 21 Labor Day of 21 or the week after Labor Day in 2021. Again, we're still during massive like COVID time, right? And the parks were empty and it just didn't feel right. Like it's not that it was a ghost town, but I was walking through Frontierland and I saw like 5 people, right? And granted it was earlier in the day. Like I need to be around people that are also enjoying. I need to, like, not that I'm watching children or other people's kids, but like being in the atmosphere and seeing other kids like squeal and delight and all this other stuff. I mean,
like I said, I do think at some point the crowd gets too much.
Yes.
But part of it is being there with all the other people that love Disney. Like, you know, it's
I mean, it was rather crowded when we went down because I guess we went down when the summer crowd spiked. Like we were off by a week, unfortunately. But like it was still busy. Other than maybe like Main Street and the Hub during the fireworks, like even if we waited, like the crowds were pretty manageable, and I didn't mind it. Especially they've done a very good job this year managing lines and stuff like that as well. So I like that. Next one from TL Madden. when are you planning to going to Disneyland Resort next? I think we answered this already.
I guess
with
I
Matt's
didn't
question.
realize this one was specifically to Disneyland. I thought maybe it was just when is your next Disney trip. But
Let's talk about that. Outside of your upcoming Paris trip, when is your next Disney trip?
So we don't have anything planned, but where I would be, I'd say it's greater than 50% that we figure out some way to do a long weekend during the holidays next year.
That's exactly what, like, we don't have a trip planned, but the next time we do our big Disney trip will be in 2027 with some of the newer stuff. But I think I talked about this last year. Like, I need to get back to Disney during the holiday season. I absolutely loved it the 2 years in a row that we did it. I regret not doing it last year. And I kind of wished maybe we did something again during the holiday season this year. And like next year for Christmas, like, we're going for 5 days. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know if we're buying a 2-day hopper and maybe a party ticket or something, but we're going to figure something out to get down here. It probably won't be another week-long trip like we did last time, but maybe like a 5-day trip or something else like that. But end of 2026, big trip in 2027 Disney World, with potentially over the next 2 years, maybe I get a surprise trip out to like Disneyland with the wife or something else like that. So again, nothing planned though. Music life for me, what would you want Disney park to be, where would you want a Disney park to be built? Say one more domestically and another internationally, and not including Abu Dhabi. So why don't you go with this one here, Phil, first?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be kind of neat to have one in the Northeast. Like, obviously it'd have to be all indoors and stuff like that. So I think that would be kind of cool.
Just because it's closer.
And I think just seeing something in the North would be interesting. I do think something in Texas would make a lot of sense because it's kind of centrally located. It's west of the Mississippi.
Do you want one in Texas? Because that's the question. Where do you want one?
I guess if I could personally have one in the Northeast, that would be my pick. Of a realistic option, I think Texas makes the most sense.
I would like to see one within a essentially a 6 to 9 hour drive around Washington, D.C. Because I don't care where it is. I just want it local to me to make it more sense. I want to be able to drive for a long weekend, that it's not a arduous drive, like a 15-hour, 16, 17-hour drive to Disney World. And basically it is just, it's a selfish question. Like, I want to be closer without me having to move somewhere to get closer, right? Internationally, I don't do a lot of international travel with my family. I don't at all. So like, that really doesn't matter. We have a European one. We have a bunch of Asia Pacific ones. We're getting one in, the Middle East. Does one make sense in South America? Does one make sense in the southern part of Africa? I don't know. I probably wouldn't travel to those anyway, because like I said, I have two other ones that I want to go to first. I definitely want to go to Paris and Tokyo. I don't think another international park is really something that's going to like when Abu Dhabi was announced, I'd be like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then I moved on with my day type of thing. Right. I thought it was more interesting for the Disney company, not that the fact that the park is open.
Yeah. I know they always like debate, they build one in like Brazil because Brazil seems to have a lot of fans that are always coming up and stuff like that. The other spot that I know people talk about, which would be interesting, I would love to visit if it happened. I just don't think there's the population there for it, would be Australia.
Yeah. That's a good point. I wouldn't go to Australia because that's literally like, a nice 24-hour trip to get there. That'd be cool. Just I love Disney building parks. I love the creative process and watching it, stuff like that. It's just, I don't really care where it is because there's most likely I won't be traveling there for the most part. At least in the next decade or so. Let's put it that way. Ryan, with the last question on the list, again, Wheezy episode, we're an hour and a half over. Which ride of these would you update, keep, and demo? So he's forcing us to play a game here, Phil. I see what he did here, which is actually pretty good for the last question. We get to play a little game in the last one. So update, keep, demo, Space Mountain, Tower of Terror, Pirates of the Caribbean. Would you like to go first?
Sure.
I will go first then if you have to think about it. Okay. So I would update Space Mountain, right? I think it needs an update tremendously. I would keep Pirates of the Caribbean. It's a classic, like it. I don't mind if it were updated, but I don't think it needs an update. Mm-hmm. And I would demo Tower of Terror. As much as I like that attraction, it doesnn't hold anything near dear to me. And if it were to go, I think it's also a silly ride to have as the park weenie for Hollywood Studios as well. So I would demo Tower of Terror. I like the spookiness of it. I don't really care about the Twilight Zone aspect of it. And I don't know. I think it's an overrated ride.
Yeah.
It's a good ride. I just don't think it's worth the hype everybody gives it.
Yeah, I think if we're talking like Disney in general, like say all the Space Mountains and all the Pirates of the Caribbean and that sort of thing, I agree with your list. If we're talking specifically at Walt Disney World, though, I would say keep Tower of Terror because it's the best version of that ride.
Okay.
I would update Space Mountain and I would get rid of Pirates of the Caribbean because I think there's better versions of it out there.
Okay. I mean, I agree with that logic, but I don't think Pirates of the Caribbean is my favorite ride.
I know it's your favorite,
right?
So it's
like if I had if I went to Disneyland as often as I went to Disney World, like combined, sure, demo the one in Disney World because I happen to go out. If I went to, let's say I alternated land and world, whatever, I'm like, yeah, demo the one in Florida because the one in land is the original and better version and all this other type of stuff. That's fine. But I don't get to Disneyland. I only see the one in Disney World. So I'm like, again, if I'm not traveling to international locations, which have better versions and more fun versions of Pirates, and I don't get out to Disneyland, I haven't been. And if that's going to be like once every 5 years, every 10 years type of thing, if you demo the one in Florida, then I will never get to see Pirates of the Caribbean, my favorite ride, when I go to Disney World. So that's the only. So like generally, if I could travel anywhere at any time, I would agree with your list though too. So, all right. So everybody, thank you so much for all the questions that you submitted. I was afraid that this might be a 40-minute episode. It was almost triple that. Almost triple that, 2.5 times that size. So I want to thank everybody for contributing those questions. That was a lot of fun. DBC engagement. I think this is a good one. Do we want to put this one on for this week, or do we want to announce it next week for the start of the new year?
We could do it next week.
Next week, okay. So we're gonna have a DBC engagement for next week. This is a nice, fun little question episode. Bonus episode, absolutely, because we were going to take off, but we're like, you know what, let's ask some questions, let's do something different. So anyway, thank you for watching and listening, everybody. If you're still with us after an hour and 40 minutes, make sure you hit a like and subscribe button. If you're on YouTube, if you're listening, share it with a friend, see if we can get some new people to join us. Let's not make that mistake again, Phil. And that being said, everybody have a wonderful and safe new year, and we'll see you next time.
Take care, everyone.